Stop. Right now, think about the funniest person you know. The one who makes everyone laugh, who seems unshakable, who's always got a joke ready. Now here's the dark truth nobody talks about. That person has probably survived something that would absolutely destroy you. And their humor? It's not a personality trait. It's a survival mechanism. Let me show you why. I'm going to reveal something about human psychology that will completely change how you see the people around you. Because scattered among us are individuals who've developed abilities that seem almost superhuman. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. Their brains literally rewired themselves to survive, and the signs they leave behind. Once you learn to spot them, you'll never unseat them. This is the untold psychology of people who've been through too much. Picture this exact scenario. Someone aggressively cuts them off in traffic, almost hits their car. You know what most people do? They explode, fists clenched, profanity flying, heart racing with rage. But not them. They're already 3 steps ahead in their mind, calmly wondering, is that driver rushing to the hospital? Going through a divorce? Maybe they just got fired and can't think straight. This isn't naivety. This is strategic emotional intelligence forged in fire. Here's what's actually happening in their brain. When you survive sustained trauma, your neural pathways don't just adapt, they completely rebuild. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, becomes hyperactive. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, develops this almost supernatural ability to override panic. It's like their brain installed military-grade threat assessment software. They're constantly running calculations. Is this actually dangerous? Or does it just feel dangerous because of my past? Most people's brains operate on autopilot. Theirs operates on battlefield protocols, even when they're just buying groceries. And here's the kicker. This rewiring never fully turns off. Ever wondered why some people seem weirdly calm during crisis situations? This is why. Their baseline for emergency is so much higher than yours that your disasters feel like mild inconveniences to their nervous system. But there's a cost. Always. Because that same brain that keeps them calm during chaos absolutely exhausts them during peace. Now, you'd think someone who's been through hell would be bitter, cynical, emotionally closed off, like a fortress wrong. They become the most dangerously empathetic people you'll ever encounter. And I mean dangerous, because their ability to read you is almost invasive. Watch what happens. You're having a conversation. Everything seems normal. But they notice that microsecond where your smile didn't quite reach your eyes. That slight change in your voice pitch when you said, "I'm fine." That way you shifted your weight when a certain topic came up. They've cataloged human pain like a specialized dictionary. They're fluent in the language of suffering because they've studied it ostensibly in themselves. Here's a real example. You walk into a room. Most people see furniture, maybe notice if it's messy or clean. They walk in and immediately sense the emotional temperature. They can tell if there was an argument 20 minutes ago just from the quality of the silence. Not the absence of sound, the texture of it, heavy silence, disappointed silence, anxious silence, exhausted silence. They distinguish between all of them instantly because their survival once depended on reading rooms. Faster than most people read books. That coworker who always seems to check on you right when you need it. They're not psychic. They're pattern. Recognition experts who've earned their degree in human behavior the hardest way possible. But here's what'll mess with your head. This same superpower becomes their curse. Because when you can feel everyone's pain, where do you put your own? They become emotional sponges with nowhere to wring themselves out. They'll carry your burden without hesitation. But ask them about their own struggles. Suddenly they're fine. Always fine. Suspiciously fine. Here's where it gets beautiful and bizarre at the same time. Psychologist Richard Tedeschi discovered something remarkable. Between 50 to 65% of people who experience significant trauma don't just recover, they evolve. He called it post-traumatic growth, and it sounds like pseudoscience until you see it in action. These people don't just bounce back, they bounce forward into a completely different version of themselves. Their priorities get stripped down to what actually matters. All the superficial nonsense that society obsesses over, gone. They can't be bothered with office politics or keeping up with trends because they've seen behind the curtain of what really matters in life. Their relationships transform. They become fiercely loyal to the people who've proven themselves, and brutally efficient at cutting off those who haven't. No more energy for fake friendships, no more tolerance for manipulative behavior. Their inner circle gets smaller, but exponentially more meaningful. And their appreciation for ordinary moments, it becomes almost comedically intense. A good sunset. They're tearing up. A perfectly brewed cup of coffee. Life-changing. A genuine laugh with a friend. They're mentally cataloging it as a core memory. People think they're being dramatic. They're not. When you've lived through darkness, you develop this profound gratitude for light that people who've only known sunshine can't comprehend. But then there's always a but. This growth comes with collateral damage. Ever been to dinner? With someone who absolutely must sit facing the door? Who scans every exit? Who has a backup plan for the backup plan for a simple coffee date? That's not paranoia. That's a nervous system that learned the hard way that safety isn't guaranteed. Temporary, fragile, and can be ripped away without warning. Their threat detection system never fully disengages. It's like having a smoke alarm that's permanently set to maximum sensitivity. A car backfires, and their body floods with adrenaline before their brain even processes what the sound was. Here's what this looks like in real life. They're lying in bed, completely exhausted, desperate for sleep. But their brain is running through every possible scenario of things that could go wrong tomorrow, then next week, then next year. It's not overthinking. It's a survival protocol that won't power down. They'll plan elaborate contingencies for situations that have a 0.001% chance of happening because that one time they didn't prepare. It costs them everything. Most people call this anxiety. They call it Tuesday. And the exhausting part, they know it's irrational. Their logical brain understands they're safe now. But trauma doesn't live in the logical part of your brain, it lives in the part that kept you alive when logic wasn't enough. So they exist in this constant state of tension. Relaxation feels dangerous. Letting their guard down feels like setting themselves up for disaster. Peace, ironically, makes them more anxious than chaos ever could. Let's talk about how they show up in relationships, because this is where things get really complicated. They'll drive across the city at 3 a.m. because you sent a vague text that worried them. They'll remember the small details about your life that even you forgot you mentioned. They'll show up with exactly what you need before you even ask for it. Their loyalty is almost unsettling in its intensity. But here's the paradox. Ask them to be vulnerable about their own needs. Ask them to depend on you. Suddenly, they're the busiest person on the planet. They'll help you move apartments, but won't tell you they're struggling to pay rent. Why? Because in their experience, closeness has consequences. Connection has historically come with a price tag they couldn't afford to pay. So they learn the most dangerous skill: how to need absolutely nobody. Sounds strong, doesn't it? Independence. Self-sufficiency. It's actually one of the loneliest prisons a person can build, because they're surrounded by people who care about them, but they've internalized this belief that needing others is a vulnerability they can't risk. They've become simultaneously the best friend you could ask for and the hardest person to be close to. They'll give you everything while revealing nothing. They'll create intimacy while maintaining distance. And the tragic part, they don't even realize they're doing it. It's just how their nervous system learned to navigate relationships without getting hurt again. Now, let's address the humor. That sharp, dark, sometimes uncomfortable humor that either makes you laugh or makes you concerned. They'll joke about their trauma with a casualness that's borderline disturbing. Yeah, my childhood was basically a therapy bill waiting to happen. Haha. And you laugh, but there's this moment where you wonder, should I be laughing at this? Here's what's actually happening. Every joke is a power move. Every punchline is them taking control of their narrative. When you can laugh at the things that broke you, you're declaring that those things don't own you anymore. Dark humor isn't about being insensitive. It's about weaponizing absurdity against pain. It's about looking at your suffering and refusing to give it the satisfaction of watching you crumble. Comedy becomes their armor, their shield, their way of saying, "You tried to destroy me." And look, I'm still here making jokes about it. But underneath every joke is a statement: I survived. It didn't win. So here's what you need to understand. When you meet someone who seems too comfortable with chaos, too okay with uncertainty, too quick to laugh at their own pain, you're not meeting someone who's broken. You're meeting someone who's been shattered and reconstructed themselves into something more resilient than most people will ever need to become. Every boundary they set, every joke they crack, every moment where they seem weirdly deep out of nowhere, they earned that through experiences that would have broken other people permanently. They didn't just survive. They alchemized their pain into wisdom, their trauma into compassion, their darkness into the ability to hold space for others in theirs. They're not just survivors, they're lighthouses. Not because life was gentle with them, but because they learned to navigate storms that would have capsized anyone else. A lighthouse doesn't shine because it's perfect. It shines because it remembers the darkness. And that's not just psychology. That's the kind of human resilience that deserves to be recognized, honored, and understood. If this resonated with you, subscribe. And if you want to support more content like this, hit that join button. I genuinely appreciate you being here.